Hey, what's up? My name is Eric Brody. I'm a Native Instruments product specialist from Brooklyn. Today I want to show you a couple different ways to use Maschine during a live or DJ performance using multiple instances of Maschine, link mode, and audio tracks. I really enjoy performing with this setup and I want to share it because I haven't seen a lot of people using Maschine this way, and I found it really helpful in putting together seamless Maschine performances. What's interesting here is that I have a Maschine MK2 and a Maschine MK3 connected to just one computer. The key is here that they are controlling different instances of Maschine, both in standalone mode, and are sending audio signals out from different sound cards into my mixer. The MK3's hardware output is running into deck B on my mixer, and the MK2 sound is streaming actually from the headphone out of my computer and into deck A. So essentially I'm treating each Maschine controller as a deck, and I can now freely stream audio from one Maschine project into another seamlessly and have multiple Maschine projects open simultaneously from one computer. And I could really just play between them like a DJ would. I have access to my entire set list from each controller, and I can do an entire performance this way without touching the computer, and you really don't even have to look at the computer screen during the performance at all. So you can have it off the stage. You can run the same general configuration by using only an MK3 controller and switching between instances on each track, or by using an MK3 in combination with any other Maschine controller or complete keyboard. Here I can browse my projects and my set lists. For this setup, I like to keep both machines synchronized via the link feature. That way when I change the tempo on either track, both projects will adjust together. Also, if I'm running a track on deck A and I'm ready to start playing the next track on deck B, the next track will always start synchronized with the currently playing track, regardless of my timing hitting the play button. I can then use the cue feature on my DJ mixer and make sure it sounds good before I blend it in. I'll show you a quick example of how it sounds when you have two machines linked up just like this. Link engaged on both of them. Okay, so later in this video I'm going to show you how to take advantage of Maschine's new audio track features so that you can perform, mix, and adjust tempo seamlessly in real time. But first I'm going to show you how to quickly get this setup started. To achieve this setup, you'll have to first make a copy of the Maschine application and open both up like I have here. So I have two Maschine applications going on at the bottom of my screen. I don't know if you can see that, but I made a copy of the Maschine application. I just put it on my desktop there. Now I'm going to show you how to use audio tracks within my Maschine performances and DJ sets, because so far with this setup you're ready to perform and mix between songs based on MIDI information, but without the use of audio tracks your sample-based material will go out of time when you change tempo. So right now, if I have both these tracks playing, change the tempo on one of them. They're both going to change together. You can hear that. I can slow it down. I can change it from either one. But this track is using audio tracks, and that's how that whole track is able to speed up in time with this track, which is based on MIDI and melody. So with the new Maschine 2.7 update, it's now possible to import loops and stems into Maschine and work with them as audio tracks, adjusting their tempo in real time. Whether it's an entire mixdown, just an acapella, or a few instruments or a sample, this technique will allow you to turn track stems into audio track clips that will sync with your Maschine projects. As a general workflow aside, I tend to match my scenes to markers in Ableton. It works the same way in Pro Tools and Logic. That way I know exactly where I am in Maschine's relation to Ableton's timeline, and I want to start the track at a very specific time in Maschine. I just have to usually click that section in Ableton. So this is what a kind of general layout of my Maschine project in Ableton would kind of look like, because mostly I just work in Maschine, but it's great to have some of the features from a DAW. So marker 6 takes me to pattern 6, marker 5, anywhere I want to kind of start within that section, whether it's halfway through or a quarter of the way through. As for my patterns in Maschine, I generally make them advance chronologically with their corresponding sections. So scene 1 plays pattern 1 for groups A, B, C, etc. Scene 2 plays pattern 2 for groups A, B, C, etc. and so on. I find this workflow is helpful in keeping my Maschine projects organized. I try to keep all my sections at an even 8 bars if possible, just a general kind of way I start tracks, because it's always okay, to change the different lengths of sections. But for the purpose of this quick stem slicing technique I'm about to show you, keeping each scene at a standardized length is crucial. So first, to create an optimized stem, I bounce the parts I want as audio clips down as either 64 bar clips or 128 bar clips. That way, when I slice the stem into clips to match my scene changes in Maschine, I can make even slices of 2, 4, 8, or 16 clips, depending on how many patterns I have. I usually slice my stems into 16 clips of either 8 bar patterns or 16 bar patterns, depending on the tempo and length of the track. Before I load my stems into the Maschine, I like to load up the clip loader utility group I created as a template with pre-made patterns. It gives me an option of 8 bar patterns or 16 bar patterns. Let me just load that up from my browser. Over to my groups. I'm going to navigate to my utility tag, and I'm going to load up a clip loader for 8 bars because this project consists of all 8 bar scenes. Once you bounce your 64 or 128 bar stem, you can load it back into the Maschine via the first track in your clip loader group. I have a 128 bar acapella in my example, and I'm going to load that up right over here from my samples, and it's the easy demo. I'm going to make sure I'm on the first pad. That's where I want to load it. First track in my clip loader utility, and I'm going to load that acapella. So it's a 128 bar acapella, and this song is 10 scenes, so I'm just going to make 10 slices out of it. But in order to make 10, the way to get an even amount of slices out of 128 bars is to slice it up 16 ways. So if I go into split and I change it to 16, now I have 16 even slices. The first 10 are the ones that I want, and the starting point for each one of those slices is perfectly in time, so we'll just launch off right there. It doesn't matter if it knows the actual tempo information, since it's bounced at 128 bars exactly. If you slice it up 16 ways, you're going to get 16 even slices. Okay, so I have 16 different slices of this 128 bar loop, and I'm going to put one of these slices on each one of these pads. And I'll show you how this clip loader looks when I basically lay the patterns that it already has built into it across the entire scene structure here. So on, I would just drag them all, make sure that they play in chronological clips. Just for this example, I'll just truncate one of them and show you how it would work just turning this into an audio track. So you would do this for all of them. Truncate, you can do that from the Maschine controller right here. Truncate, and back over in the actual pattern window, I'm going to change pattern 3. You can really just lay these out. 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Pattern 3 is basically playing this one shot of a truncated slice, and I'm going to change it from a sampler track to an audio track. Now when I play the track, it can change tempo, but audio tracks have this option of either being set to loop mode or gate mode. I want to turn it on gate mode because I only want it to be playing when I have the specific C3 MIDI event that's just triggering the sample or the audio track for that specific pattern, and no other part of the song, because I want each one to launch off an audio track chronologically in kind of a clip formation. So in loop mode, it's always going to play as long as there's an audio track in that lane, so you'll get conflicting audio tracks. In gate mode, it will only play, see it's muted, if there's an audio track on top of it. So that's really helpful if you want to do clip launching like this, or you can do some more fun stuff with playing with MIDI, like melody is a new feature, and gating is, of course, basically you can use the note repeat and get a cool slice out of this sound. But for right now, I'm just going to show you kind of what this sounds like when it's mixed into this track. And if I change the tempo, it syncs perfectly. Sorry for the bad singing. Cool, so basically this is how you would get an acapella to be synchronized as audio tracks over your entire Maschine project of MIDI clips and drums and whatever you had sequenced. So you can have a couple sequences and then an audio track, or you can have, you know, just a couple audio tracks and then maybe throw in sequences later, like I'll show you in a little bit. Sometimes I just like to keep it simple with my performance projects and load up an instrumental stem, a vocal stem, and a jam group, or maybe just the entire mix as a stem, and I could just, you know, have that on one of the tracks and a jam group on another. Jam groups usually got a drum kit, samples, and maybe a couple synths and effects. So. And I will have that usually set to the key of the track, so I'll show you. And when it plays the track, change the tempo of the track. Both of them, you know, will be able to be jammable. So if I turn this one on, it will come back in time. I got the melodies. Use a little no repeat function. And I could trigger this one and it'll come in on time, and it'll maybe just use the drums from the other track. It's also really easy to add parts from this jam track into a live performance because really there's no samples across the lane for that track. So I could just go to whatever scene I'm in, make a new pattern for that jam group, and just record something in. I can bring those in and out. So it's a really fun way to, you know, add a little bit of diversity into one of these tracks that's just playing a stem. Really with this configuration, you can bring total non-stop creativity on stage for your Maschine performances. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and are inspired to use Maschine in a couple cool new ways and on stage and in the studio.